Hi, Gene. Hi, Melvin. My name is Neil. I'm with Dorkaholics, where we believe that there's a dork in everyone, and it's our mission to bring that dork out into the world.
Awesome.
Sweet. Yeah.
You can tell from the posters behind you, man. That's
Yeah, you're
Blue
right.
Beetle, right?
Yes, yes.
Awesome.
Thank you. So, my first question is for Gene. Being as the graphic novel was released in 2006 and this live action series was filmed 16 years later, what changes in the American born Chinese slash Asian American experience, if any, resulted in the direct changes or additions to this adaptation, I mean?
Yeah. I think in the the 17 years between the publication of the book and the release of the TV show, we've definitely made progress. Just the fact that the show exists, I think, shows some progress. Um, but at the same time, in other ways, we've kind of fallen backwards in time, right? Like when you read headlines about elderly Chinese people being abused in the streets, that feels like something that shouldn't be happening during my lifetime. I remember reading one of the first headlines and thinking like this feels like something that should have happened. Like I should be reading in a textbook about what happened in the 50s and 60s. I couldn't believe that it was happening in 2020. And all of that does feed into the show. I think in a lot of ways, the show is a plea to see Asian Americans as human beings, as three-dimensional human beings. And that's its way of addressing a lot of the API hate that we've seen since the pandemic. Um, at the same time, the show also acknowledges that American society has become more sensitive to racist depictions of Asians and Asian Americans in media. And you can see that in episode two. In episode two, there's this protest that happens um, on campus that's led by the Culture Club. That would not have happened in 2006 when the book was published. But that is a very, very 2020 thing.
I agree. My next question is for Melvin. So, having
Yeah.
worked on Fresh Off the Boat, what lessons did you learn from that production that you carried into American Born Chinese, especially as they're both stories of Asian American experiences?
Well, I think they're both unique and great on their own. I think for me, just personally, American Born Chinese is the 2.0 that Fresh Out the Boat started. I think Fresh Out the Boat was very much about our parents, and I think American Born Chinese is about our generation. In fact, Kelvin and I talk about it all the time. The first episode, the scene where they go shopping, is an homage to Fresh Off the Boat. And, American Born Chinese wouldn't have happened without Fresh Off the Boat.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think they're both needed in the conversation.
My favorite episode from the series is episode 4, just because it expands off of that very first
Sure.
chapter of American
Yeah.
Born Chinese, showing us what really happens up there in the heavens. What is it about American Born Chinese, the graphic novel, that made it so ideal for each of you to turn into a televised adaptation?
For me, it was the point of view. I don't think I've ever read anything, Fresh Off the Boat included, that sort of spotlighted every feeling that I had as an adolescent and now as an adult, and just like encapsulated it so well. And it stuck with me. That's why I sort of pursued it for many, many years until Gene was interested.
I don't know if it was perfect for adaptation, right? I actually think it was a very difficult thing to adapt.
Mhm.
It's credit to Kelvin Yu, the showrunner, and his writer's room that made it work.
Mhm.
I think there are lots of tricky elements and that I personally did not have any obvious answers for, but Kelvin and his team came up with some
Yeah.
great answers.
Thank you so much for your time today. I'm looking so forward to being able to talk about American Born Chinese with the rest of the world. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Neil.
Thank you. Thank
Nice
you,
to meet
Neil.
you. Have a good weekend.